is an honor to be in this space. When you come into a space like this, immediately everything that you ever experienced comes back to you, and it runs through your body, through your mind, and through your spirit. So with that, I'm going to see how I can navigate this. And don't get nervous when you see all this paper. It's really that I'm visually challenged, so I had to write real big. You know, the number 5 is very significant in change and processes and such. Never forget the number 5. And it is important as I stand here to acknowledge, first of all, the holy I am, God, Spirit, whatever name that you may call it, and my ancestors, but most of all, my elders. I stand here with so much honor for this process and for this space as a graduate. And I hope that what I share with you today, mainly it's going to be for you all. But I hope that you will get nuggets, because I honor my elders, because there are elders who are part of this sacred space called InnerVisions that you see, but there are elders that have never met, who created this space for you. And so I'm taking my time because we live in a world where things are so microwave and so instant. I meet people all the time who go on Google and they think they know. But you came through a process. More than anything, you were shepherded through a process with elders, and that is so special. What the Reverend Dr. Iyanla Van Zandt, my mentor, my mama, has created, and all of the mothers here. I honor you. Thank you for choosing me to release this word today. And Ia said to me, she said, now you know you're not talking to the minister, so I thought that was a cue, like, don't preach now. I'm not responsible once I stand up. So, you know, the journey has been remembering the truth of who you really are. That's so significant. And before Coach Mack got back to me, I had been, you know, the moment I said yes, Spirit started to minister to me. And I didn't even know that there was a theme, a running theme of yes, when I was given what to say to you, which is to remember your yes. Remember your yes. And when I say remember your yes, I just want you to say yes. Just whisper that to yourself. Because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. After you leave here, I'm going to tell you why you're going to need it. After you leave here, many of you have plans. You have vision plans. Yes? Yes. When I say yes, you say yes. After you complete here, another journey begins. Yes? Yes. I want you to remember. After you take a breath from this today and process your accomplishment, you'll feel full and ready to pour into yourself or your vision. Yes? Remember that they said yes. And some of you may be feeling a quickening with your own yes, or your resistance to it, because that also shows up when you forget and when you remember. And I remember the day that I met the Reverend Dr. Iyanla Van Zandt. It's how many of you may have met her. I was a young 20-something-year-old. I was married. I was living in another place. I had big responsibilities. And I was a young bride, and I was in a spiritual system as a leader. And I was navigating through so many different things. And I remember going in the bookstore. And I was looking, because I'm a Gemini, so I always am seeking. I'm always thirsty for knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And so what wasn't given to me, I started to seek it out. And I found the Reverend Dr. Young. There were many, many books there. Many of them talked about the revolution and history, and I was done with all that. I was enough of that. I needed to open up something inside of myself. And I remember that because she stood out, because she stood when no one else was standing. And I wanted to give the context, because everyone that possibly is wearing white, you had your moment where you said yes. Remember your yes? Oh, yes. Because that matters. Because we take for granted those moments when the shift happens. You remember your yes? Okay. Now that we're clear, and you understand why you need to remember your yes, I want to give the context as being one of the first children. I'm one of the first children. Yeah. Okay, you see us? We're really proud. We got away with very, very little. Another thing. We got to soften the old. This is the motherboard over here. You know, at church you got a motherboard. They said nothing. We got away with nothing. In other words, we had eyes on us all the time. We learned the word microscopic truth. I need you to understand the context of what you're walking into, because you are now responsible. So you had us for them to do a lot of the testing rounds. We got first touch. Oh my God. Anybody know about a first touch? Any oldest children in the house? You know, the first touch. Any grandmothers? The grandmamas don't touch the first children like the mamas touch the first children. Right. Come on now, Alcha, amen. Y'all just looking at me like you ain't never been through your own childhood experience. And we got lasting elder direction. First touch, lasting direction. This is rare in this world. It's precious. It's ancient. It's ancestral. It's alchemical. And it's amazing. This place, this special place, we had to figure out what many of you don't have to figure out, because we did it for you. We did. We really did. You got the refined process on one hand. But you also received the benefit of your sisters and brothers who went before you. So you are never alone. You have a responsibility. And in a world where there's so many people declaring that they're a coach, you must remember your yes, because it's not like everyone else's. Understanding this and all the foundation that you stand in right now, can we agree that you have an awesome responsibility to remember your yes? I said yes. You'll need to remember to stand as if you know there is no one and everyone watching, because they are. We have a dignitary that is out in the world sharing a piece of what you have been processed through. See, some people call this a graduation, but you know that this is a sacred process, an initiation, an activation. Here, your DNA was activated. Remember, you said yes. See, I want you to understand, when your DNA is activated, you set in motion your guardians, your angels, your ancestors, and your guides that already knew that you were going to come into this space of your yes. Everybody didn't choose this, and everybody can't even stay in this. Amen. When you know who you are, and that woman, these women, they taught me that. Yeah. Because when you begin to vibrate in your yes, there are certain things that cannot come nigh your dwelling. Yeah. Okay, I feel the spirit moving a little bit. Let me break that down for you. See, you understand that we came before Oprah. Can I just take a real? Please talk to you. In other words, some people are enamored with the celebrity of getting next to the celebrity, you know, the queen. But when you get in here, it cannot come nigh my dwelling. In other words, there will some people who will come with certain agendas. And you don't know why they fell away. That's not your concern. Who's not sitting at the table with you, because she prepares a table before you. Come on. That's right. In other words, certain people couldn't even stay in the vibration because they had to raise their expectation for their own yes beyond the celebrity of the Reverend Dr. Young. When you come in here, you're not just in here for the accolade of being close to the sun, the moon, the stars, because that's what the mothers are. You'll need to remember that this is a birthing center. Right. Come on now, y'all better come to work with me. You need to remember it, because when you get out into the sea of other coaches, there will be sales, there will be branding, there will be social media management, there will be marketing, messaging, niching, back-end management, front-end management, editing, evaluation, blogging, vlogging, evaluation, re-evaluation, celebrating wins, learning from losses. You will need to remember your yes, because the technology is moving so fast for this industry called coaching. And you will need to know the technology that created your yes. See, because there's a spiritual technology that everybody that calls themselves a coach is now walking in. I'm telling you what I know. I've sat at tables with coaches who only learn how to be salespeople. And you may start measuring yourself and your performance and your productivity because they have so many followers or they sit on this platform, but you have to know your yes. Remember, you said yes. I want to give you another tool As if you need one. I've been taught by the best. So let's call this the graduation tour. You accept this offer?
Yes.
They got it. All right. You chose to be here. And that set in motion a living yes. Yes?
Yes.
It was personal or professional. You yesed your way here via an application. And that was the conception. Because once you said yes through your application process, then on the other end there was a yes, kind of like conception. There's this yes that happens. You said yes. Not your cousins. Not your mama. Not all them people you've been practicing on. Forgive us. For we know not what we do when we first start this process. Sometimes, you know, you enter into this space and there's a new language that you start to speak. Yes. And everybody doesn't speak InnerVisions ease. You said yes.
Yes, right.
The emphasis is on you.
Right.
And that's a tool because you will always remember your co-creative process with spirit, because if you remember that it's you who said yes, when you start to look at the people in your life who are saying no, who are saying maybe, who are not saying anything at all, you may feel the need to try to interrupt or to step into their process. But one of the first rules of coaching is that the other person must invite you. Otherwise, you begin to create yourself into a martyr. You said yes. Then the next step is you came to summer intensive. Yes. I knew that would get a yes out of it. And the shift began. You came to summer intensive. And maybe a few times in that process you questioned your yes. You got introduced to the language, the terms, yourself, the parts of yourself that you had been hiding from, that these mamas can see. That summer intensive. Boy, I can tell you some stories about that summer intensive. I actually think that sometimes it's good that children know your story. You experience a rites of passage, essentially. It's not just a summer intensive. And that is important because to understand so that you can edify your experience when you move into a world that sometimes is mediocre, competing, or self-aggrandized agendas. Yeah. You experience a rites of passage. This is important for us to remember because not many people are experiencing this. You understand? Yes. You understand. I know you know. And so there are going to be times when you must recall that process that shifted you with your yes, to remember what you experienced the day that you walked into the room, the day that you began to resist. I know you did, because I did. The day you questioned, the day you began to smell new things, the day you began to see new ways of communicating a truth, the day you began to run, jump, lay down, fall down, fall out, break down, break through. Because it's not over. The shift now becomes a choice. Then the homework began. I want to give you some more homework. Hold the homework. The reason why I want to give you more homework for your yes is because if you are a coach, work your weight in salt, like the brine that you tasted. You'll always have homework. As coaches, as educators, as teachers, as facilitators, you always have homework. The minute you stop learning, you are dying. This is your craft. It requires you to nurture it with the reading and the writing and the sharing and the breakthroughs. It doesn't stop today. You must continue the homework and bless it, because that's where a lot of the work is going to happen anyway. Becoming transparent and vulnerable and open to feedback. Y'all remember that? Yes. To me, these are all transferable skills that you will transfer into wherever you are. A lot of times, I remember when I first left, I was waiting to be a coach. I was waiting for something, some assignment, something that I envisioned to happen, because I was still working a 9-to-5 job, and this thing that gets activated on the inside here, you feel it and you start to want to move in it, until I realized that I was already in it. I remembered that I said yes. That means my skills were transferable wherever I am. I want y'all to understand that wherever you are standing on holy ground because you are there. Yeah. My prayer partners, we remind ourselves to, you are the light. You are the light. Remember that you are an InnerVisions graduate, that you said yes. Number 4. Not too bad so far, right? Yes. You receive basic tools here. Basic tools. Affirmative prayer began to change how you begin to communicate with God. There's still some people that's begging, pleading, moaning, and wailing. Aren't you glad that you said yes? Because now you know how to pierce and get in the face of the divine without leaving yourself behind. Because you are activating the holy I am. You came into triads. You set intentions. You wrote. And I remember in our class there was a doctor, there was one of the sisters who was a PhD, and she said that her master's program was not even at the level of InnerVisions. Y'all didn't clap, y'all didn't understand that, I guess, so you understand. When you go through a master's program, you really, when you begin to type and write your papers, and I mean lots and lots of papers, lots and lots of research, you can't have any errors in order for you to be able to move on. Am I right? You're right. These tools can be applied wherever you are. So for instance, you have a triad, and there's a neutral observer, there's a speaker, and then there's a facilitator. There's going to be times on your job where you need to be able to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And that's a translation for a spiritual life coach to that in any moment you could be in the triad or you could be triangulating. You know what triangulation is? Anybody say what? See, in the triad, you are allowing the process to happen without your interference in the process. You're clear about your role. Is that right? But in triangling, sometimes you carry a bone and you take a bone and you get a bone, and before you know it, there's three people in a conversation that serve no particular purpose in the conversation. You must remember that you said yes. So you won't be at the coffee pot complaining about what was going on at work and who did it and who shot John, because you are a reality creator. And so if there is something that you see that is happening in your environment, are you the change agent that's your certificate, your certification, your initiation, your activation, your sacred name says that you are? Is the question that you get to ask yourself. Am I remembering mine? Yes. I had to know when to be the neutral observer, when to be quiet and hold space, when to walk in a room sometimes and listen. Mama said I could be real. And when you hear things like gutter snipe, and the whole world starts to go off, because social media is vicious. Come on now. I know I'm not the only one that's scrolling through and you see, and let me look in the comments. Let me see what they're saying. And some of the things that they say about your mama. You want to fight them. Right. That's right. Don't get confused with this white. But you have to remember. Yes. You got to remember your tools. Yes. And every fight that you get invited to, because you watch the grace and the elegance that they respond to what's coming so that you can apply it in your own life. That don't not mean that when we go in the kitchen or in the back office that it's unedited. And number 5, remember that you have a process. Everybody doesn't have a process. You said yes to have a process. My mother didn't have a process. Yeah. My grandmother didn't have a process. All she had was a prayer. Yeah. And somebody prayed for you to come today to have a process. Yeah. There will be people who resent that you process. Right. Why does it have to be so deep? That's what they'll ask you. Oh God, here she comes. Some of y'all said it, didn't you? Some of y'all said your cousin. You said, yeah.
Come on now.
The world doesn't have a process. See, we've forgotten who we are. They came to remember who they are. And who you are may not be who she is, and who you are, and who you are. You activated something inside of you. You got an inner vision. Everybody does not have a process. I cannot emphasize that enough when you step into this industry called coaching, which in many ways has been usurped by that very name. So much so at times I don't even want to call myself a coach. But I walk in it. Because it's not what you call yourself, it's what you answer to. So whatever your sacred name is, it reminds you of your yes. How many people, I can tell you ministers who get ordained, who do not know what direction to pray, they don't know what to chant, but they'll get up and preach you to heaven while they live in a hell.
All right now.
You got to know who you are in this world of so much duplication and mimicking and branding. Who are you beyond your brand? And does your brand match energetically with what you say you came on the earth to do? Come on. Because you can take pictures. You can put the right label on it. You can have sales funnels. You can have your first clients, your part-time clients, your full clients. But one thing I know that you learned here, that you must go first. Because if you don't go first, you will start to attract more of yourself in your clients, in your love, in your money, in your marriage. Come on now. Am I walking heavy down somebody's street? I'll go on and turn the corner. You have a process where you sing, you dance, you pray, you moan, you worshiped. What they gave us was tools for spiritual warfare, because you will be in spiritual warfare sometimes. And those are the times where you will forget that you said yes. Notice I didn't say if you forget. I said when you forget. You will forget that you said yes when life happens. Sometimes you forget. I'll speak for myself. I forget. And when you forget, there will be something that will remind you. Those same scents, those same phrases, that language that we speak here. You'll hear it, and you'll remember all of the tools that you have. You'll remember the first time that you came in contact with this energy. You'll remember. It'll be something that will shift you. So don't worry, because you don't control the moments that you forget. Some people think that when we take this journey that we have all the answers, and sometimes I probably thought I did too. But sometimes you need to forget so you can remember. It looks like a test. It looks like a trial. I told you earlier that you all got the easy version. I'm going to rub it in a little bit more.